second time's a charm, hopefully. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chase. If you are new here, hi, let's introduce ourselves. I will start. I'm Chase. I am a hot mess. Clearly, I just tried to film this video and it was going horribly. My head was not in the game, let me tell you. Something was going on up in here and I was not feeling it. It just was not the time. It was not right thing, wrong time, I guess. So I had to take my makeup off and start all over again. If you like hot messes, please subscribe to my channel. I'm almost at 30 subscribers and I would love to hit that at some point. No pressure. Subscribe. Just subscribe. So last week we talked about Malabar Farm, the history and the haunting that happened there. It was the first episode in a new series called Spooky Saturdays. So if you missed that, go watch it. I'll link it down below so you can just click on that link and it'll take you right to it. And then when you're done, come back here because this is the second episode of Spooky Saturdays. And today we were talking about another place in Mansfield that is haunted. And I'm so excited to get into this with you guys. Hopefully it turns out better than the first time. I'm gonna go ahead and do one eye off camera just because I don't have a whole lot of history on this place. And so I'm afraid that I'm gonna tell you all the history about it and then like have everything to do. So I'm gonna do one eye off camera and then I will be right back and we will get into the history of the Bissman building. One eye is done. I got the mascara on and that was the part that killed me the last time. So far we're doing better. So the Bissman building, let's talk about it, shall we? I'm gonna start with the Bissman family because they are actually German immigrants. They came over from Germany, in 1853 and they settled in what is now Mifflin, Ohio. Now I couldn't find much on the family as a whole. I did try to look into it and I couldn't really find a whole lot. And I guess only one of them we're going to be talking about, but I was trying to find the whole family and just give you the whole shebang, but I couldn't do that. So I'm sorry if you're disappointed in me. The one that we're going to talk about the most is Peter Bissman, who was the son of the family that moved over here from Germany. And when they moved to Mifflin, Ohio, Peter got a job in Mansfield. And I don't know if any of this was called that at the time. I feel like it wasn't, but maybe it was back in the 1800s. I don't think so. Because that was when Malabar was called Pleasant Valley. I don't know. But I do know that Peter moved over to Mifflin with his family and he got a job at the Tracy and Avery Company in Mansfield, Ohio, which was a wholesale grocery distributor. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much like a Walmart. It's just like a grocery store. People go there and get their groceries. They sold everything. It was literally like a Walmart. They would sell everything, but they called it a grocery wholesale distributor. And Peter loved it. He loved working there. He loved working in the grocery business. So he decided that he wanted to open up his own company. And thus the Bissman Company was born. And it was built by Alexander and Dow, I think is how you pronounce it. It's D-O-W. And I think that's Dow, but I'm not 100% sure. And the reason I bring this up, it was a construction company back in the day. They are notable because they also built the Ohio State Reformatory here in Mansfield, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. I feel like everyone knows what the Mansfield Reformatory is. And they actually built both the Bissman building and the Mansfield Reformatory in the same year. They had leftover bricks and stuff from the Reformatory, so they brought it over and they used that to build the Bissman building. They used some of those. I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture of the Bissman building now so you guys can see what it looks like. I think the building is beautiful. I think it's a very gothic looking building, but I love it. It's like creepy but pretty and mysterious. So the Bissman building opened its doors in 1886 as the Bissman Company, where they sold groceries, and they were open for 90 years. They sold grocery supplies, they sold alcohol, they sold things like mouse traps, like home supplies, things you would need for your home. They sold Cuban rolled cigars, and the most notable thing that they sold was the Bissman Company Red Band coffee. They would brew the coffee in the building, and that was a lot of people's wake-up call in the morning. They would wake up to the smell of coffee brewing, and kind of like how we go to Starbucks or whatever other like local coffee shop you go to and you get your coffee in the morning, that's what people would do, but with the Bissman building. And it was a really popular place. They also built the building right near railroad tracks. The railroad tracks were in the back of the building. And they did that way they could get their supplies easier. It could just stop right at the back of the building and they could come out and unload it. And that probably helped them a lot because they were probably able to get supplies quicker that way. So after being open for 90 years as a grocery wholesale business, I don't know why I've been having trouble saying that this whole video. The first time I filmed it, this time I cannot say that, and I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. A grocery wholesale distributor. And I always want to say a grocery wholesaler. Girl, that's not a word. You silly goose. That's not a word. But after 90 years in 1976, the Bissman Company, I hate myself. After 90 years, that's a long time, the Bissman Company ended its run as a grocery wholesale distributor, and they closed their doors to that business. However, they did not close their doors completely. They ended up staying open as a alcohol distributor. And my mom, I talked to her about that, and she said she actually remembers when, I think it was Budweiser or Bud Light. I think it was Budweiser, but I'm not sure. They would store their beer in the Bissman Company, and that's where they would kind of keep their supplies and everything, which I thought was really cool. I don't remember that, but it was in like the 70s, 80s and stuff. And they stayed open doing that until the early 2000s, and that was when they closed the door for the alcohol business distribution. I can't say those words, apparently. So the Bissman building is now owned by the fourth generation. It has stayed in the family. And I actually got to meet the fourth generation because they used to do ghost tours and ghost hunts there. And I went on 2 of the ghost tours. And the owner, the current owner, would take you around the building and tell you the history, tell you the story. It was really fascinating to listen to that because that was his family. He was very knowledgeable and a very good storyteller. It was most recently a printing company. It was called Pirate Printing. It was a family-owned and operated business, and they would do printing and embroidery for what? I'm not sure, but I couldn't find out a whole lot of information on Pirate Printing. It has since went out of business, so I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information. I know the Bissman building, they also had like a garage attached, and you could take your car there and they would fix up the car. I don't know a whole lot of information about that because again, I didn't really look into that. I just know from going there and hearing the stories that they did have a garage there at some point where you could take cars, or they would fix cars, or they would order cars. I don't know. But they had something to do with cars at one point. Okay, I'm going to throw on mascara on this eye, and then I'll be right back. I can't do this on camera, so let me throw this on, and I'll come back to you in just a second. Okay, I'm back. Does anyone have an eye that just always looks better? Like, for me, it's this eye. It just always, the eyeshadow looks better, the mascara looks better, everything just looks better on this eye than this eye. This one's my problem child. So just like Malabar, which we talked about last week, the Bissman building was also used to film The Shawshank Redemption. Now, I've only seen the movie once, so I can't give a whole lot of information on the Shawshank movie or on the scenes that it was in, but I do know that the Bissman building was used as the hotel in the Shawshank, the exterior of the Bissman building is used. Check my notes. Yeah. They also transformed a first floor room of the Bissman building into the editor's office of the newspaper. The Bissman family actually got to be involved in Shawshank too. They were asked to be extras on the movie. So the Bissman building did sadly close its doors permanently in March of 2019. I actually found out because I was looking to go on another ghost walk tour thingy there. And they announced it through Facebook that they did close their doors permanently. So you cannot go there anymore, and you can't like ghost hunt, you can't go walk around there. The building is still standing, so you can go outside and like look at it from the outside, but you can't go in. And you're probably like, well then Chase, why are we even talking about it? Like if you can't go in there and it's closed to the public, why are we sitting here? And I wanted to because for a few reasons. One, it has such a history behind it, and it's such just a really cool place. It was filmed for Shawshank. That was one of the main places they filmed. I don't want to just not talk about it with all that history, and also the paranormal stuff is really cool and interesting. I loved hearing about it when I went there. Like I said, I went there twice. So I thought that it was just... Editing Chase here. I never finished that sentence, and then I started talking about my foundation shade and how it didn't match. So, what I was trying to say is that I feel like the Bissman building is a building that people drive by all the time, and they don't know the history or the hauntings that go on there, things that happen there, and I think that it's such a shame to let that history kind of fade away and people not know about the building and what happened there, and I just don't want that to happen. So that's why I wanted to make the video and talk to you guys about it, and maybe you guys will learn something about this building that's in downtown Mansfield that you guys probably see every time you go down there and don't realize. This foundation is probably too dark for me. I cannot match to save my life. Oh god, yes it is. But that's, you know, we'll get through it. Oh, it's not actually that bad. I take it back. So now that I've told you all the history that I could find, go ahead and get into the paranormal side. The real reason that you all are here is to hear about ghosts. So the Bissman building has been featured on 3 TV shows. It has been featured on My Ghost Story on the A&E network. It was featured on Ghost Hunters when it was on Sci-Fi. And it most recently was featured on a show called Ghost Asylum on the Travel Channel. I know that the Ghost Adventures team, they also went to the Bissman building and did a ghost hunt, but it didn't end up airing on television. They came to go to the reformatory, and they decided to do a little stop at the Bissman building and just hunt for a night. So the Bissman building is home to a few ghosts. People have seen shadow figures in the building. They have heard strange noises, etc. The typical haunted building things, footsteps, voices, things like that. Like I said, the building was built on a railroad track, and one day there was a man who was, I don't know, near the railroad track, messing around the railroad track, but he ended up getting hit by a trolley that was on the track, and it killed him right outside of the Bissman building. And the owner believes that that man's spirit has kind of stuck around the building, which, I mean, if you die a sudden and tragic death, I think that that would be a very big possibility. And they believe that he is one of the people that you can hear when they hear the strange noises, that it might be him. There was also a safe in the main room. You walk up the stairs, and there's like more stairs, and there's this main room on the right side when you walk in. And in that room, they had a safe, and I do have a picture of the safe, so I'll go ahead and insert the safe here, that way you can see what I'm talking about. And one night, the Bissman building was robbed, and this is when it was still a working grocery distributor. So they decided to hire a night guard, that way they could keep an eye on the building throughout the night. Hence the name Night Guard. But they believe that the security guard is still haunting the building as well. People have heard him talking, and they think that he is the reason for a lot of activity in that main room, because that's normally where he would stay, was in the main room. And I don't think he died on the building, so they don't know for sure 100%, but they just believe through speculation and EVPs that have been caught there that it is him who is haunting the place still. Now we're gonna have to get into some true crime here, if that's okay, because there are two ghosts that are said to haunt the building that they know for a fact, and they both had tragic ends. So the first spirit, or ghost, or whatever you want to call it, that we're going to talk about is Ruthie Bissman. Ruthie Bissman was the granddaughter of Peter Bissman, who was the man who opened the Bissman building. There have been a lot of rumors and stories that Ruthie was murdered, and they don't know who by. They think it was either the night guard that they hired or a maintenance man that they hired to work on the building. And she is believed to be buried in the basement of the Bissman building. Back then, the basement was dirt, so it was easy to dig up, whereas now it's cement. And they found out about Ruthie because they had a psychic come to the Bissman building. This was when they started having paranormal encounters. I want to say, in the article I found, he said it was 10 to 15 years ago, so at this point, it's probably been 20 or more. But the psychic came and visited the Bissman building. She was at the bottom of a staircase, and she looked up and she said there's a little girl standing at the top of the staircase. And when she said this, they really had no clue who that could be. They didn't know of any children that had died at the Bissman building. So the owner started looking up information on his family, things like that, and he was able to find a Ruthie Bissman in the family. Now, the weird thing about this is that all of the Bissmans are buried in the Mansfield Cemetery. They have their own little plot, and Ruthie is not buried there. There's not even like a headstone. And because when I first read this, I was like, well, yeah, because she was buried in the basement. But no, there's not even a headstone for Ruthie. She's just not there. So he kept digging, and he could not find a death certificate for Ruthie either. He was able to find proof of a Ruthie Bissman, and he knows that is a real person. There is one picture that they were able to find on Ruthie, and I'll go ahead and insert it now. It's her, and I believe it was her aunt, and then a little boy who I'm not sure who that was. But I'll go ahead and insert it now. But he wasn't able to find any death certificate on Ruthie or her death. So they don't know what happened to her. They do know that it is a real person, but they're not sure what happened to Ruthie. And at first they were kind of like, okay, like maybe she's still alive and this psychic is just full of it, you know? But they had older employees of the building come back, and they would come and visit. And when asked about it, they said that they didn't know Ruthie, but they heard, quote, stories of stories. So they would hear stories that someone else was told about Ruthie. So they do that. Ruthie is a real person. She was a living little girl at some point, but they don't know what happened to her. If she was murdered, they were not able to find any death certificate. And as far as I know, there hasn't been a death certificate that has been found. From the research that I did, I didn't see any death certificates or anything of them finding a death certificate of Ruthie. So the owner of the Bissman building did say that this is all based on one psychic and then investigations. There is no proof and there are no facts of a Ruthie Bissman ever dying on the property, being murdered, and being buried. However, there is a lot of activity in the basement of the Bissman building. That's where a lot of investigators go, and there have been a lot of EVPs found. People believe that it is Ruthie's aunt. Some of them believe that it is Ruthie. People have talked to Ruthie before down there. There are a lot of noises heard in the basement. A lot of shadow figures are seen in the basement. So the basement definitely has a lot of activity. And it makes me wonder, is it because Ruthie was buried down there? Or is it because a lot of people think that she was buried down there? So now, because they're thinking that, they are drawing this energy and they are drawing spirits to that place. They have had a lot of different investigators go in and get really compelling stuff in the basement. So you never know. I don't know if we will ever know, but it is just interesting to hear about. Hi, me again. I forgot to say in the video that In the basement, there was a group of people ghost hunting, and they took a picture. And in the picture, there's this white mist that kind of resembles the form of a human. I don't know. I see it, but my one friend did not see it, and then my mom didn't see it at first, but then she did. So I forgot to mention it in the video. I'll throw it in here so you can see it for yourself and decide. Now, one death that is confirmed on the property and the building is of an employee who worked there for a really long time, and his name was F.W. Simon. And I'll go ahead and insert a picture of Mr. Simon right now so you can see him. He is circled in red. So he was a longtime employee at the Bissman building. He actually was the manager of the 4th floor. They had different, I think they had 5 floors of the Bissman building, and each floor had a different manager because I believe they did different things. They had different things on each floor. And he was the manager of the 4th floor, and it was his last day of work. He was retiring, and he decided to climb up and write his name in big bold letters with black paint on a board right above a window. That way everyone would see it. It says F.W. Simon 1911. I'll go ahead and insert a picture of it here. So after writing that, he got in the elevator. And now, elevators were fairly new. They were invented in 1857, and they were the pull elevators, not the electrical ones. They're the ones that you had to manually do yourself. So they had just got an electric elevator in the Bissman building this year of 1911. And since it was still fairly new, the idea of an electrical elevator, they didn't really understand the safety measures that come with it. They were used to controlling the elevators and having the kind of pulley elevators that you would manually have to move. Some people believe that as he was going down the elevator, he stuck his head out to wave goodbye. Others think it was more of an accident and he didn't mean to have his head out. But either way, he had his head sticking out of the elevator while he was going down, and he was decapitated in between the 4th and 3rd floor. And a lot of people have heard EVPs that they are believed to be of F.W. Simon. Some people, like multiple people, have reported seeing what they believe to be a head laying next to the elevator, and then they get closer to it, it's not there. There's a lot of activity because the elevator is still in the Bissman building. It's not, I don't think you can use it anymore, but it's still there, and there's a lot of activity on the 4th floor around the elevator. Something else that was captured by the elevator is probably the creepiest picture I've seen. I mean, this picture is not the prettiest, but it is an apparition of what people believe to be F.W. Simon. It almost looks like he's peering out from behind the elevator, like he's looking around. I'll insert a picture now, but I do just want you to know it is a creepy picture. It's not the cutest picture in the whole wide world, so just be aware. And I actually had the bestest friend in the whole wide world, Katie, edit a side-by-side. So I'll put in that now. It's a picture of F.W. Simon when he was alive, and the picture that people believe to be F.W. Simon's ghost. I'll put that in now. I'm just saying, they look really similar. Like, when I first saw the side by side, I was like, oh my god. Like, you can even see the facial hair that he had. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, it's kind of creepy to see that picture side by side. Another part of the Bissman building, and this is, in my opinion, the scariest part, it's also on the 4th floor, and it's called the Red Room. I have a picture of the Red Room. I'll go ahead and insert it now. It's called the Red Room because they have red curtains on every window, and the light makes it just look really red. I'll insert the picture now for you. So the red room, in my opinion, is the scariest one, like I said. It used to be used to make the coffee in the morning. So after the building closed and they started doing these ghost hunts and ghost tours, I know that some people went into the red room, and like you see, they have like a table in the middle of it. So they went in there ghost hunting, and they used a Ouija board. I don't know why you would use that. I don't know what in your right mind makes you think that's a good idea to do, but they did it, and they never closed the session out. So a lot of people, they believe that something came through during that session, and that is kind of stuck in the red room now, and it's not a nice presence. It's not something that was like a worker or a family member. It's a demon, is what they believe. On top of the Ouija board being used in the red room, my mom actually reminded me of this because I forgot about it, but they also used to have a lot of occult activity. I won't lie, I didn't look this up or anything because I was just about to sit down and start filming, and I was showing her the pictures of everything that I was going to insert in the video, and she's like, oh, are you going to talk about the occult stuff? I forgot about this, but there used to be satanic, oh god, how do you say that word? Satanic? Sure, we'll go with that. There used to be satanic rituals in the room. There's actually writing and drawings on the wall from them. It's like legit. I was there, my mom was there, my friend Jasmine was there. We all saw these writings on the wall from these satanic rituals that they would do in this room. So because of a mixture of that and then the Ouija board session, and the satanic rituals happened before the Ouija board. So what I think is that something was in there already because of the satanic rituals and the cults that would go in there, and then the Ouija board probably brought more stuff into the room, but also probably agitated whatever was in there to begin with and made it worse. In the red room, people would experience a feeling of terror, not wanting to be in there, just a really like panicked, like a fight or flight response of being in that room. Women would have their hair pulled constantly. They would get touched. People would feel like they were being pushed. And a lot of people in the room would get scratched while they were in there. Whatever entity or thing was in this room, it was not nice. It was not good. It wasn't something that you wanted to be around. So I will be right back. I'm going to go ahead and finish my eyes, put my inner corner highlight, do my lower lashes, and then I will come back to tell you the experience that I had in the Bissman building. Okay, eyes are officially done. They really look bad. I also forgot to mention that in the red room they would hear growling and just a lot of voices, deep inhuman voices. The growling was the main thing that I remember, was they would hear that a lot. So the experience that I had in the red room is one of the scarier ones that I've ever had. Like, it really freaked me out. I had been on 2 ghost tours there. The first one I went with my mom. Nothing happened. It was a really cool experience. We walked around and it was fun, but nothing happened. The second time, however, I went with my mom and my friend Jasmine, who has been on my channel before. And we went into the red room, just like before, and we were talking and they were telling us the experience of the red room and what happens in there. And I instantly got this really weird feeling of like, kind of fight or flight, and I was like, I need to get out of here. Like, I don't want to be in here. But I also didn't want to draw attention to myself, so I stayed in the room, but I just got this really weird feeling of just dread and like something was going to happen, and I got really sad and upset. I went ahead and threw my lipstick on, but I started just feeling really weird and just like I shouldn't be in there. I wasn't allowed to be in there. Something wanted us out. I started crying. I was just going through the gigs. And as we're walking out of the room, my calf starts itching and kind of burning. And I tried to look, but it was a dark room. It was winter, so I had jeans on and I couldn't really roll them up. And the group was walking, we were leaving. So I was like, whatever, like I'll just look when we get in the car. And the whole rest of the night, It started out as like a burning sensation, and then the whole rest of the night it just started itching, and it was like I thought I got bit or something. So we get into the car, we turn the lights on, I roll up my jeans, and I had 3 scratches on my calf, and they had already started to fade, but they were there. You could see the red scratches, and it was 3 of them. And when I tell you I freaked out, and I actually never went back. I wasn't ready to go back for years, and then when I finally was like, okay, let's go back, see what's going on, they had closed already, so there was no way I could. But that really freaked me out because I'd never been scratched before, and to have 3 scratch marks on me was just not the tea. That was not, no ma'am. So anyway, you guys, that is the Bissman building. It is and was such an interesting place, and I wish it was still open so I could go back, so you guys could go back if you were interested, and just experience it, because it was an experience, let me tell you. There was so many interesting spirits, interesting haunts. I really liked it there. I'm very sad that it's closed, and hopefully one day it will reopen and we'll be able to go back. If I got anything wrong, if you guys want to do your own research, leave some comments down below. Let me know. I love to have discussions about the paranormal. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said, subscribe. I'm almost to 30 subscribers. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me it is. And I would really like to hit that. My birthday is July 28th, so if we can hit that before my birthday, I would appreciate it. Like last video, my makeup looks bad on camera, but I promise in real life, well, I love you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next spooky Saturday. Bye, guys.